Welcome to The Real Study with your hosts, MrSniDBitS.
I was pleasantly surprised. It was funny, it was fun, it kept the spirit alive.
BlackGirlMarvel.
I cried laughing. That was hilarious.
Tylermakesfilms.
It's meant for us to kind of contemplate.
Allthemoviethings.
Why I enjoyed it more too was the fact that we were going to talk about it from this perspective.
Lieutenant Commander Ray.
And this absolutely qualifies on that list.
And me, the Real Study movie voice guy.
I probably would have been in love with this movie as well.
Let's go to the poster wall.
Welcome to The Real Study. My name is MrSniDBitS, and with me, as always, is BlackGirlMarvel, and that is it tonight. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. And there's that kismet, as always. Hence why we've been podcast mates for years now. Years, weirdly.
Yeah, years now.
So yeah.
All right.
So
Doesn't
tonight,
feel like it though. I feel like I just joined yesterday or something.
yeah, it was like 3 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So tonight we are finishing up the 5th and final week of National Women's Month. I spaced last week because 5-week months aren't very common. So we do have 2 more. We do have Vamps, also another movie by Amy Heckerling. And then we have A Wrinkle in Time, directed by Anne. What is her name again?
It starts with an A.
I'm gonna mess it up. What is it, La? I'm gonna mess it up.
Ava DuVernay.
Ava is what I was I was thinking of Anna, not Ava.
I was like Ava.
And she actually holds a title as the first female director to direct a superhero movie that is a Black woman. Not because we also had The Eternals that was done a while back. So we're making progress, but we have not made enough for sure.
No, that wasn't Ava. I think that was Nia DaCosta.
Was it Nia DaCosta? See, man, I am terrible
Yes.
with newer people
Yes, that was
because
Nia DaCosta. My
they're
bad,
not.
y'all.
Yeah, that is my.
They're not in the zeitgeist. Yeah, I get it.
It's
not
just
in the zeitgeist
they're
yet.
new. They've had 2 or 3 films. I'm starting to
Yeah.
learn all their names. Anybody that's new, but
I got
you
you.
make an
That's
impression.
why I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. And you've been correcting me on names since day one. So I appreciate
Yeah, for
that.
sure. Yeah.
So, because I'm terrible about names. I could remember movie plots, no problem. Okay, so Vamps and A Wrinkle in Time, 2 very different films, but not as different as last week. And then we are going to be doing Demolition Man sometime in the near future because we're going to do a Wesley Snipes night. So, yeah, let's move on over to the main screen.
And if you guys are hearing this in podcast land, if you want your Wesley Snipes film to be picked, come join the Discord, follow us on Twitter and TikTok, and let us know your thoughts of which Wesley Snipes we should add. Because maybe we might have multiple Wesley Snipes nights. Maybe not back to back, but like, you never know. That could be a recurring thing.
I might,
depending on how many requests we get.
I might use my veto for any Expendables that's thrown out there. I'm going to probably say no to those. I watched them once. I'm good. I don't need to watch them again.
I love those films. It's been a while since I watched them, so I could watch them again. It's been a while. I love those films.
So speaking of which, what did you watch in the last week or so?
Okay, so I recorded a reaction to Avatar: The Last Airbender, the first episode of the live action. First episode. I enjoyed it, but it was different from the first episode of the animated version. But also I do feel like they trimmed it nicely because there were things in that first episode that was kind of like filler, didn't need to be there. It was there for comedic effect. There's no point of putting it in live action because it just wouldn't hit the same. So I get that. Yeah. But then there are other moments that I felt like this was character development in the making, and they removed those moments. And I was like, I don't think you should have.
That's sad.
Remove those moments.
Yeah, no, that's a little sad.
I was like, and I'm pretty sure you're going to go another way, but it was just like, this helps this character get to this when we see them in the next, it was moments like that. And I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but hopefully I can have this episode out sometime next week. You guys can enjoy it and I can keep this momentum going. And then I watched this movie called Single Black Female.
Okay.
If you've seen Single White Female, you already know what this is, but this one has a particular twist to it. This is a Lifetime movie, so that's already telling you the genre, what it's going to look like.
Lifetime is like its own genre, isn't it? It's like
it is like it's a Hallmark and Lifetime to me are their own genre. There's nobody like them.
Right.
across the board. There's nobody like them. And it stars Amber Riley
Okay.
and this other girl. I cannot remember her name to save my life, and I do apologize. But no, her name is Raven Goodwin. I'm
I've
so
heard that
good.
name.
I'm sorry. Yes, her name is Raven Goodwin. She's been in a lot of stuff too. Jenny Hubert was in it. She played the first Aunt Viv in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Singer K. Michelle was in it. It was like kind of like your typical like Black lineup, I guess I'll say. But what I will say about this movie is I thoroughly enjoyed it because it was just fun to watch. It was fun to watch, and I'll let everybody know because I don't know if anybody's gonna watch it, but if you are, I'm gonna still let you know. I'm gonna spoil this. The twist in this is that yes, it's single Black female, single white female, but in this one, the woman is actually her sister.
Oh, rather than just some lady that saw her personal ad.
Rather than somebody just kind of like was just randomly obsessed with her. She murders people in this, like she beheads
So
people.
it's more aggressive than even the first one.
It's way more aggressive, way
the
more
first one
violent.
was just tension and like, it was still well done, but it was not.
No, for sure. Nah, she beheading people, she knocking people out, she's setting up domino effects. It's crazy. I was like, I love everything about this. I just love it so much. So yeah, those are the things that I watched. Things that I watched.
All right. So I watched
What
3
about you?
movies
Watching-
since, well, I might have mentioned one of them maybe, but I think I've watched 3 since then. I've been trying to like continue to pluck away at that watch list. So I watched Gran
same.
Turismo, the true story of the video game turned academy turned real racer. That movie got me. So I gave that a nice 4-star rating.
Sweet.
4, and that's on Letterboxd.
Okay.
So an 8 if you're talking real study.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I like racing in general and racing movies, so you're not gonna go wrong with me as long as it's got a decent plot. But I like Need for Speed, so that's not really a fair comparison.
Right.
The other movies that I watched were School of Rock. I did actually get that one under my belt this week. And I was pleasantly surprised that I didn't hate Jack Black in it, but it was still not as... Maybe I would have been better if I'd watched it when it came out, because it's just not... It wasn't...
Well, I'm happy
it
you
didn't
watched. I'm
flash,
happy you watched it
I know,
though.
but it didn't like wow me. It was everything I expected, and I love Joan Cusack, and it was great. But it's now out of its time, I think. So I know him to be different than that.
I think you're out of your time in a sense,
Right.
not to be like rude or anything like that, but I just feel
No.
like
Yeah.
because I can watch that movie whenever, and it always
But
hits
you
for
watched
me.
it
It's
when it
always
came
like
out.
a good film for me.
So like,
But I watched it when it came out,
right.
and I'm like, yeah, and like that's the difference. That's why I was like, you're kind of like out of the time.
Yeah.
But I think you could still see the appreciation, like why
I
people
did,
like
and
it.
I
think
do. I
it's cool
see,
stuff
and
like
I do understand. I think I was really impressed with the kids, especially they're all playing real instruments.
that.
I think there's nobody else but Jack Black that could play that character because he's as irresponsible as you
Facts.
expect, but also a talented singer and guitar player. So like you get both.
Yeah. Agreed.
I'm not sure what the message is. It's a little bit of a shifty message. Definitely follow your dreams and push yourself, but at the same time,
Yeah.
kidnapping and there's various things that are not the most amazing.
No, for sure.
But that's comedies. Like even as a rule, it's like you push the extreme. So I know that's silly of me to say, but it's more of a family comedy than it is your typical. The last movie I watched was one my wife asked me to watch, which was A Simple Favor with Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively. And Anna Kendrick plays just a typical single mom,
Oh,
and Blake
like
Lively
The
plays
Simple
this like
Truth
La
or
Femme.
something like
No,
that?
Simple Favor.
A Simple Favor. There
Yeah.
it is. I know a simple something. Okay,
Right.
I wanted to watch that.
It's
Yeah.
interesting. I think it's worth a watch. It was funny. It was quirky. It was a whodunit with a dark comedy, 2 moms twist. One average, one La Femme Nikita style, and things ensue. I don't really want to say much more than that because it's a mystery, and so you want to just go in and watch it. So definitely give that one a watch. I don't know if I thought or saw any movie news that kind of blew me away this week. Did you see any movie news?
Movie news. Not so much, but the kid, what's his? Someone passed
Oh
away.
yeah, the kid from
The kid
Gen
from
V.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch and yeah,
Yeah,
Chance
he was in a
Perdomo passed
motorcycle
away
accident.
in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah,
He was only 27, and I'm just all
too
prayers
young.
and good vibes, and oh my god, to his family, his friends, everybody that cared about him. Because man, like, stop riding motorcycles, y'all. Like, put motorcycles out of business. I'm sorry, but stop riding motorcycles because there's too many motorcycle related deaths, especially like with like Hollywood people as well. Like it's very prominent in Hollywood. That seems to be a thing. Like, and I knew some people who crashed out and messed up their face and had to go get surgery. So it's just like, I don't know. But shout out to his family and his friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
that's I mean, 27. It's too young
Yeah.
anyway. I think when you're 75, it's too young, but still, it's
No, facts.
that's
Like, I'm only
beyond.
10 years older than him. You know what I'm saying? I was 10 years older than him. So it's just like,
Imagine losing that last
I
10
barely
years though.
feel like right. And I feel like I barely lived a life. And I'm only, I'm saying? I'm 10 years older than him. So it's just like he's only 27. Like,
Right.
that's crazy.
No, that's wild. We keep losing people. That's going to keep happening. Especially the older you get, I've learned, you lose even more people. I just realized that Emmett Walsh died not that long ago. I was like, nobody told me that Emmett Walsh died. You may
Who's
know
that?
him from Blade Runner. He played the detective that called Decker in, if you know Blade Runner at all. Let me just pull up his.
I've seen Blade Runner, yeah.
You know his filmography, and he's one of those character actors that you see, filling in other positions. Let's see here. I think Aina just shouted us out on TikTok, telling everybody to go, or Twitch maybe. No, that was you. Join us. You shouted us out on Twitter. That's what it was. I thought it said TikTok. Yes. I don't know why. So let me get Emmett Walsh up here. Emmett Walsh. Blood Simple, Blade Runner, The Jerk, My Best Friend's Wedding, American Gigolo.
Oh, I'm looking him up right now. Oh yeah, I know him. I know
Knives
that
Out.
face.
Yeah.
I know
We were
that
just
face.
watching
He was in
Romeo and
Critters.
Juliet.
I know that
Yep.
face.
Yeah. We were watching Romeo and Juliet, and he
Yeah.
plays the like gun holder guy. Not much, but yeah, like he just died. That's sad.
Yeah, March 19th. He was only 88.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's young.
I mean, it is. It's
if
above
I'm being
average.
honest.
But still, I mean,
But it is.
How
it's
did he?
young, though.
How did I not see him in the news? Like he's done a lot. Like he needed a.
It's a whole bunch of stuff. Like it's a whole bunch of stuff. Like you didn't see him in the news. Jennifer Lewis almost died. You didn't see her incident in the news.
No, all I'm seeing in the news is Diddy and all that crap.
You feel me? Like nobody cares about
or
that.
the bridge
like,
that happened. Like that was wild.
Honestly, I didn't even know that Regina King's son died of suicide.
What?
Like I didn't even see that in the news. And he died like 2 years ago or something like that. Like a couple years ago.
I didn't know that.
And
either.
the only reason I know is because she took a break from acting, and then she came back and she was with Robin. I can't remember her name. With Good Morning America, Robin. Whatever her name is, I can't remember her last name, but she had an interview with her and it talked about like her son passing and stuff like that, and how she tried to help him throughout the years. And I was just like, why are we just finding out about this now? I was like, geez. Yeah, I'm like, come on.
And that's
crazy.
Yeah, no, that's brutal. On a lighter note, we are going to review a couple of movies tonight, and I'm almost certain there's going to be some disagreements, just based upon pre-show talk. So the very first movie we're going to do these in chronological as we usually do. The first movie we're going to be doing tonight is going to be Vamps. This is an Amy Heckerling film. Amy Heckerling is of course known.
You didn't count the A Wrinkle in Time? You didn't count.
Did I not say A Wrinkle in Time?
But you say you're going in alphabetical order, so.
Oh no, I don't count A to.
That's why I asked A. Yeah.
When I'm doing my alphabetization for like when I put my movies up, those get skipped as well because I don't want a whole section of the. I just don't. I don't. Right. Like so yeah, Wrinkle in Time, if you would like.
Got you.
Okay, you threw me off with that. So we're gonna get into this Amy Heckerling film, also starring Alicia Silverstone. So they did work together. Wallace Shawn is of course in this as well. So two
Yep.
Clueless alum are coming back. If you didn't know, Heckerling is known for Clueless. She's also known for Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Those are some of her most famous films.
Yeah.
She's known for comedies, and so it's not unexpected to see another comedy from her. This is a 2012 release, also starring Kristen Ritter, Sigourney Weaver, Malcolm McDowell, and Justin Kirk. And Justin Kirk.
Seeing Sigourney Weaver threw me all the way off.
Yeah, I didn't expect, because I didn't know she was in it, right? So like as we're going through
Me
the movie,
neither.
I'm
I
like,
was
oh,
like,
what?
What?
But I think I watched the preview because I was I was putting up the promo or whatever. But what's wild to me is even some of the like lesser known, there's a bunch of comedians that are like little tiny parts through this movie, and they're like
throughout this,
80s,
yeah.
90s comedians. So it was almost like Heckerling going, hey, can I put you in another movie? Just bringing them in. Justin Kirk, you may know from Weeds.
Weeds,
you know, he's
yeah.
basically that's what he's known for. Malcolm McDowell, if you don't know who that is, I don't know if you watch movies, but he's been around forever. So yeah,
he got one of the greatest voices of all time.
Well, he's at Clockwork Orange. Like that's
yeah,
that's
beautiful man.
His jam.
That's a handsome man too. He's just
and
he's just
more
got
handsome now than
like,
ever.
That's a good-looking
right?
man.
The grayer the hair, I
Good
guess.
looking man.
But that's
Yeah,
like the
it
rule,
is sometimes the grayer the hair. Being
right?
so honest.
Or the like peppery hair. All right, so
Yeah.
let's talk about Vamps. What did you hadn't seen it? I hadn't seen it. Let's let you go first. What did you think of Vamps?
I loved Vamps. Okay, I loved it. It was like it was made for me or something because it was just such a fun kind of dumb film. It was just fun. It had like I felt like it had a lot of heart to it. I feel like that plot line, if it was taken seriously, could be something amazing. It's such a unique plot line and like lore for vampires that I haven't heard before. Even though I have heard it, but the type of words that they use, using like stem instead of saying like sired type of thing. But then all vampires can't sire, you know what I'm saying? Or like aren't stem. So it was like, to me, that was very interesting because all the like vampire lore that I've seen is it like a vampire can turn a vampire. Like that you get sired by anyone, but it's like it takes, I guess, being lived for a certain amount of time, even though they didn't really explain that part.
And how do the stems exist? Like they didn't get into that. So.
Right, they didn't really get into that, but I'm like, that's what I mean though, like because it was such a comedy and it's supposed to be taken a certain way. If they took this plot, like I could take this plot and make like a really strong, like serious, like very hard, like I can build some like lore on this. But I thought it was funny. I thought it was very cringy at points because it was just I agree with you. It was very cringy at points, but I think I like that. I just think I love like the fun campiness of it. I love the freedom that I felt like they just had to just play around with stuff. But Wallace Shawn being Van Helsing kills me.
I like that only because it's like, it's ridiculous. Like it's
ridiculous. Right. I love that he's right though, and his son is like, "You will love that when you dad." It's just like a rich kid.
He was right
like,
immediately. Like he knew.
No, he was right immediately. Like him and the mom, like both was like, "Did you feel her hands?" Like I was like, "Do they know?" Because like but to me, like that was very interesting about the film. You know, it's like people seem to kind of be in the know, but not.
But yeah, like New Yorkers just accept that there's vampires running around, but they don't talk about it. Right? Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
Right, but they don't talk about it.
And some of them do. Some of them are like, "Come on, make me one."
Yeah, like that Renfield. And I love his name was Renfield.
Of course. But where's okay? So that's the stuff that was driving me nuts. Like I'm hearing all these names, and then the name that you should hear isn't ever really said. It's Vlad Tepes, and I'm like, you're telling me he's actually Dracula, because it sounds like he's Vlad the Impaler, which is what Dracula was based on, not real Dracula. So like
they left it in the air for you to kind of like figure out.
I wanted to see actual Dracula.
I mean, you know. And you know what? I was kind of okay with that. I feel like Dracula's everywhere in like vampire lore. Like you can't get around from it.
I know,
but
they used all of his lore except him. They're like, let's play out everything.
I love that.
Okay, that's fair.
I love that. I don't know. This is me. Like I love that. I don't know. This film was just like a great, like little fun, it had some heart. Like I said, it had some heart to it. Like I teared up a little bit when but I knew she was gonna die. Like I felt it from the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Because like she complained so much about just being in the world. And just, you know, she doesn't understand the world, which I think is weird that you don't, but not okay. I'm literally like the devil and the angel on my shoulder. Like, so I feel two ways about it, because like I get it, like sometimes when you're older, you're set in your ways, right? Like you don't want to conform, or you don't like want to learn something new or stuff like that. But also your whole shtick about being immortal is that you have to integrate into society. So you would have developed a way to always like keep up with the times. You're immortal, you live forever. Like none of these things should be like confusing or surprising to you or anything like that, or even annoying at this point, because you've grown with the world as they transition through
at least
things.
150 years. So,
yeah. But so I'm like both ends about it. Like I get it, she's older, so she's like, I'm stuck in my way. So that's the comedic form of it. But just thinking like vampire logic, I guess, if you want to put it in terms.
Sure.
Like she should be able to like adapt and conform, because that's what she's been doing
Forever.
all these years.
Right.
You know
it would have been easy for the first 50, because what changed between 1850 and 1900 technologically wise? Not really much until we get to the Industrial Revolution. Then she was screwed. She had to change every 10 years.
But again, we've done it. Like if you think about it, like our ages, I'm in my like late 30s. I've had 3 decades of just learning different stuff.
Right. And you were living in an era where things were different and things had to be said different, and right. So I don't see why you wouldn't you'd be around it enough. You would just pick it up.
Nor you'd be around it enough. So like that's where my brain was. But then when I realized it's just like a fun little campy kind of trying to take like, it kind of felt like it was trying to take the piss out of like other vampire things that it seemed. It felt kind of spoofy at times too.
So
like they were like spoofy vampires.
So that's my biggest complaint with the film is that thanks, Ray. We really appreciate it. We miss everybody, but we're here. We're doing it. My biggest complaint is that ultimately it tried to be a romantic comedy instead of a spoof. And that's where I think it failed dramatically. The script, I am not trying to bag on people too much, but this is one of the worst scripts I've ever seen, really ever on film, pretty much ever. It's bad. It's every cliche you can think of, not turned on its head, but just put right for
just right there.
Here's your cliche, and I'm like, these cliches are 100 years old. What are you? There's nobody doesn't know these cliches. You can't just put them out like that. And I didn't like the renaming of things. The STEM thing, she called movies flickers, which that's Alicia trying to be cute with it or whatever, or maybe Amy. But I don't know. I didn't like the flickers thing. Seeing like A-list actors trying to hold in laughter while saying lines. You could tell Sigourney wasn't. She did Ghostbusters and made that legit. You know what I mean? She did a Harold Ramis script, which
Sigourney
was ridiculous.
Was living.
But this, I don't know.
I felt like Sigourney was living it. I felt like Sigourney knew what she was getting into. I don't think Sigourney thought this was going to be anything special. It was a paycheck. Like she was just like, this is something that I can literally, like, pun intended, sink my teeth into. Like, I just felt like she could. I just felt watching her on screen, right? To me, she was one of the better, and not just because she's a good actress, but because I felt like she literally gave herself into it, right? I felt like she was the only person that like believed that she was this character, believed that she was feeling this way. Like she was just in it.
Right.
And I love that for her. Like it felt like she was having so much fun.
I wanted to put the pigeon scene as the main like cut in because I liked that scene. I like where she's like, you guys are pathetic. Like I loved how she treated them. And it's funny because I don't think, not everybody watching necessarily has seen this film. So the vampires that we follow are Twilight vampires. They're animal eaters. They won't eat humans. And so they are in the vampire world kind of pathetic. They're not, but what's really weird is it's like most vampires are trying to be vegetarians while she, like the Sigourney Weaver's character is out there trying to eat people and they're all just trying to get along. There was some really bizarre subplots in this film. That they were the only
vegetarians, though. They were like the only vegetarians. Everybody else
they lead the idea that there's thousands of vampires out there, but we only ever see just the vegetarians, and then this two vampires that are not vegetarians that are basically out there.
I mean, we see like a chunk of them at the vampire meeting that they.
Where it's like vampires and humans,
but they're right.
And familiars.
But a lot of them aren't like core. core, like they're not like core vampires. Okay, for people who have not seen this movie, because I'm pretty sure you have it, Vamps came out in 2012, and it's essentially about these two. It's literally like it's like a female like friend film, just with vampire stakes to it, right?
It's
Nobody said
knocked up
But just,
without
like,
the
vampire
pregnant.
stuff
No,
like
it
that.
still has pregnancy, so it's knocked up with vampires
Yeah.
in a weird way.
In a
But
weird,
like
not as
way
cohesive way.
cheesier.
But it's
way,
literally like
it's
just two female friends living their life
Clubbing,
and like
dating.
comedy, right? Clubbing and comedy ensues, but just add some vampire stuff in there.
Right.
And it's just like, it's honestly like they just took a plot from a B movie or C movie that they saw and was like, let's throw some vampires in. I think vampires liven this up a little bit, pun intended. I'm knocking it out of the park today. Shout out to Tyler. I'm killing it today, man. And then Ray and Brian ain't here to hear this, and this is just good stuff right now.
Ray might be listening.
But yeah.
She made a comment.
Oh yeah,
so.
that's very much so. Yeah, very much so. I don't know. This film to me was I just felt like it was a fun watch. I didn't really want this to be anything than what it was. I love that it was kind of terrible because I like the Super Mario live action movie.
This
with John Leguizamo, like back in the 90s, not the animated one.
This is
like
worse than
live
Mario
action
Brothers,
one.
I think.
To me, I love them both because it was just fun. It was just like something like kooky and fun. But like I said, the plot of it could really be really good if they knew what direction they were going.
That's what I was saying. So if they went with like a full spoof, or if they went full real, this could be interesting.
Yeah.
But I think because they went right in the middle, that's where it failed. It just they couldn't
because like nothing,
they couldn't find a tone.
Nothing really landed because it went from being like kind of like old timey to being like new. And honestly, I think they switched cameras.
Yeah, I think they
somewhere
were using
in the middle.
Oh,
they were using like camcorder. And
can we talk about the lighting
you can tell
in this film?
Ooh,
the lighting is like.
Agreed. It's not good.
Somebody literally was in film school still and was put out to do the light. Like whoever did the lighting. No offense to you, but dude. Everybody looked washed out. Everybody looked older than they need to. They put lights like right above everybody rather than at a good angle. It was bad. Like, and I'm so between the lighting
and this
the
came out
script,
in 2012, you would just think that the lighting would be a little bit better. But I know 2012 has some non-hits. You know what I mean? I know they had like their issues in 2012, but you would think that with this being like, I know it's like what 12 years ago, like.
It doesn't feel. It feels
really
20
not that
years
long.
ago.
It doesn't feel
longer.
right. It feels. I actually told somebody this was like. I was like, oh, this is like a 92 film. I thought it was like 92. Then when I looked it up, I was like, oh no, this is 2020.
This is not that old.
But it felt like 90s writing, honestly. And I think that's where my
But that's Amy
came from.
Heckerling.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, I know.
Her,
so it's like 90s, but it felt very 90s writing.
Yeah.
It felt very. It didn't even feel like early 2000s. You know what I mean? It could have felt like early 2000s and it didn't. It just felt like very 90s writing. At least if
if it was mid 2000s, at least it could have gotten raunchier or it could have had a little bit more aggression.
Right.
But it was post 2000s, so they had to like tone everything down. Comedies, I don't know, comedies just haven't been quite the same for the last 15 years. They've just kind of fallen off. And I think it's because we've found more humor in daily life, and I'd say even now, like TikTok, I laugh at TikToks more than I would ever laugh at a comedy movie. So,
but also things are tighter now. I guess I'll say in a phrase, like things are like people get way more offended now. So it was like, okay, so what can I make fun of? What can I put in comedy? Because like if you go back to stuff in the 90s, it's people watching stuff in the 90s that they've never seen before, being like, oh, you couldn't say stuff like that now, and it's like, like sometimes I want to you want to protect people, but it's also just like we take things so seriously now. Like nothing is, people can't even laugh at inappropriate things. So somebody being like, "Is it okay? It's okay if I laugh." So,
right.
Yeah,
no. A late night comedy is a rare thing, and if you got one, even putting sex into a movie now is considered like taboo by some people. Just putting sex and nudity in a movie, people are like, "Why are you doing that?" And it's like, well, because we want to. Like.
Right. This is a choice.
If everybody's consenting adults and we all want to do this, what's the problem? You don't have to consume it, but yet that's not how it is, even on all sides of things. On all sides of things, people are like, stop that. And I'm like, where's all this repression coming from? But hey, I digress. I'm not saying people should make movies like that, but I'm saying if they do and everybody's consenting, what
And they should be the freedom in
people
doing it.
should
You
do
know
what
what I
they
mean?
want. Yeah.
Because that's my art. You know?
And I like the idea of people making movies without fear so that we can see what the times were like when we go back. If everything's guarded, if everything's washed, then when we go back in 10, 15, 20, 30 years, you won't be able to see what the time was like. You can watch horror movies and dramas and other things to see, even comedy specifically, to see what was tolerated for comedy at the time or what was considered funny. Three Stooges is very different than, Cheech and Chong or Clueless or, anything now. And it's, people don't realize these are like little time capsules that help you see the time period because there's more being said in every film, even Vamps, than people give credit.
Yeah.
So,
but also I just don't want people to be repressed. If you're, art shouldn't be repressed in any form. So, and like everybody's not gonna like it. Like, like I watched performance art before and it's not my bag. Like, I don't understand what you're doing, how you're doing it, what's the point of you doing it, but you know what you're doing. So if it's not for me, I just take myself out of that arena. You know what I mean? Like, I just won't consume that because it's not for me. But why would I put my thumb or put my foot on something that all these other people enjoy and like, and like this form of like freedom and expression? And that's why I feel like, that's why I love film, because like you can put something crazy like the Green Knight, to take the Green Knight for instance, on screen, and there's people that marvel at it and they're just like, this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. But like we wouldn't get that if some people just didn't let go of the reins a little bit,
Right.
So
what's interesting, what you just brought up there, is there's this revolution in a sense of being progressive and being open about gender, sexuality, which is great and it's a brilliant thing. There's this very openness to let people be who they really are, right? But yet, when it comes to art, you're being told not to do that. And I think there's a kind of like, wait, how come isn't art a reflection of us? Isn't art supposed to show who we are or what we're thinking or what we're feeling one way or another? So wouldn't that still be a form of expression? So I don't know. It's weird to see these things both being hailed at the same time by the same people. Sometimes I'm like, what do you want?
No, for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. There's nothing wrong with being held accountable. And if everybody's saying words that are terrible for a whole group of people, sure, we can refrain from those words, and we should refrain from those words. But if people want to get naked,
But also I feel like communication is like everything, right? We don't communicate. People just assume, and then people get mad at assumptions, and then people feel like people don't look as far as their own nose. So it's just like, well, if it didn't happen to me, if I don't see it in my everyday life, then it couldn't possibly happen to you and be in your everyday life. So it's just one of those things that like, if people could just like be honest and talk and have communication and be like, hey, but just believe a person, like just believe a person until they're proven wrong, right? Because all truth comes out to the light. So like, if I'm telling you like, hey, in my community ABCD happens, but because that doesn't happen in your community, you shouldn't discredit me, right? So if I want to put out some art that's like all you see is the bottom half of this man, I'm putting it out for a reason. Like literally, like I'm doing this for an artistic reason. Talk to me about it, ask me about it, but don't be like, this person should never make film ever again because I don't understand the thing that they did and I don't like it for my children.
Is a great example of a movie that I think could have hit wrong, but I think that they said, screw it, we're gonna go for the ropes on this, and it works because
it's like
there's a lot of raunchy stuff in that movie, and I love it.
A lot of comedy doesn't get like earned and paid off anymore. They just be like, they just do some comedic stuff and think that you should accept it because it's my art. And it's like, but it's like, what's the payoff?
Sorry, that's Vamps.
What's the payoff? I know you pointing the Vamps. I already know.
I don't know. So did you catch the like weird 9/11 stuff that kept getting brought up?
No.
So in this movie, they literally they're like, Homeland Security, 9/11 changed everything for everyone, and there's this whole like terrorist subplot
I remember that.
where that's the whole reason that the vampires are
audited,
she was like, and like all this really
the terrorists ruin everything for everybody, right?
Because they can't like import dirt from where she like her home, and I'm like, aren't you American? Like, what are you trying to import dirt from Romania? I don't understand where you're importing this dirt from.
No, right?
If it's in U.S., I don't see that Homeland Security thing kicking in, but whatever.
No.
And it kept happening. It kept
like they were trying to. I guess they were trying to make a point.
I guess, but it was like 11 years after 9/11.
After, yeah.
So it was like this, like, who was even talking about it in that way, really? And what did it
No
have to do?
facts.
Why?
And then I'm
What
like,
is it? They
does
like
your
kind of
movie
crammed
take
it in this.
place in 2001?
Right.
Like, yeah.
But it doesn't. It takes
I don't
place
know.
right when it comes out. So like, but I just don't know why they had to like shove this subplot in
What's his
there.
name?
And then Van Helsing's son is just Van Helsing Jr., or something. And
He's played by Dan Stevens, and Dan Stevens was in the live action Beauty and the Beast.
oh, really? Was he the prince?
He's had a career for quite some time. Yes, he's the prince.
So he's the beast
Yes.
once he's not the beast.
Yes.
Which I don't even
Yes,
know
he's the
that
beast once
character's
he's not the
name.
beast.
What is the prince's name in that movie?
Prince.
He's not given
He
a
got no
name
name.
beyond Beast.
Not that I remember. No.
You got the Googles? I know you're right.
I'm
there.
looking at it.
Oh, it doesn't say.
I
It just
know
says
I
Prince.
am.
Okay.
Just says Prince. No, actually, it just says Beast.
It just says Beast. That's terrible. What else can we talk about this movie? Let's go over. Let's see who else shows up in this movie that we should mention. Zach Orth, who I remember from In and Out always. Taylor Negron, who was a ridiculous 80s comedy guy.
Not y'all gave him the first man's name. I'm crying.
They did?
I
They
guess
didn't- they
there
didn't
was
give
a
him an actual name?
game.
Oh, okay.
They like even in the movie, like in the book, all that kind of stuff, they didn't give him an actual name, but they're saying it like I guess it's like the CD-ROM or something to like Beauty and the Beast said that his name is Adam, but I'm like, I don't believe that because that's just the first man's name in the Bible. Like you just give that name to anybody that you just don't know their name.
Right.
So his name, he doesn't have a name. So at this point,
he does.
I don't believe it.
Oh, okay. So Amy Heckerling actually had Taylor Negron be the pizza guy in this movie because he was the pizza guy in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So she actually had him come back 30 years later. I was going to look at the actual amount of money this movie made.
Shout out to Mary Lou Henner. She's so beautiful.
So this movie had a $16 million budget. So that doesn't include marketing, but I don't think this movie had a ton of marketing. It grossed $3,361 in the US with a worldwide gross of $92,000.
According to Wikipedia, that box office was $2,361.
Okay, so it's even lower on Wikipedia. Opening weekend in the US and Canada in November of 2012, this movie was $548 for the weekend. So like a person for like 12 different theaters, one person in each theater saw it, and that was it. Like this movie had no chance from the get.
Yeah, none at all. Not even a little bit. And think about it though. To me, it's still the makings of that whole like women director, women leads that nobody wants to put any effort or money behind. So that was still happening in 2012. I mean, that's been happening since the dawn of time, but like you could see how far it stretched. It still stretches back to like all this stuff happening. They said that I just read that Michelle Pfeiffer was offered the role of Cicerus that Sigourney Weaver played, but she turned it down due to scheduling conflicts.
Oh, scheduling conflicts, not because I read the script and it's shit, because that's what I would have turned it down for. We didn't even mention Richard Lewis. Like, that's how forgettable things are in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
He's a huge part of this movie, and we haven't even mentioned him, and we're like well into our review.
This cast was stacked. This cast was actually very stacked.
Huge cast, right?
It's a stacked cast, man.
It's weird.
I like Richard Lewis. I think he's a really good actor.
Yeah, he's great. But it shows you that
I think he's a really good actor.
There's no cast, there's no specific actor that could ever save any film. Like this is kind of the film that proves that.
He recently passed away too.
Yeah, he was very recent.
Jeez,
this year
in February. Jeez Louise. Yeah. Where have I been?
Not looking at Richard Lewis's obituary. That's what I.
Not at all. Yeah. Like not even on the slightest.
I always think of him in Men in Tights, Robin Hood Men in Tights. Yeah, he was such a wry, ridiculous comedian, and I loved it. But yeah, he plays Alicia Silverstone's boyfriend, and he's something like 65 or whatever, because they met in the 60s, and she of course doesn't age. I don't know it. I just wish they would have dialed it up a little further. If they had dialed it up to a point of just beyond ridiculous, because they kept coming back to reality.
Well, my thing is this is what I would have liked, right? the movie starts off with Alicia Silverstone's character voicing over like the decades, right? Like catching you up to like present time.
Right.
But instead of like and I get it, budget, money, I get it. It was probably easier to have it like that drawn pages thingy.
Yep, that's
like
why.
newspaper
Totally
thing that they
budget.
did. And I definitely understand that. But we didn't have to get right to the future. We could have gotten like right when she got turned, maybe saw how she lived with her family a little bit, kind of got connected to them a little bit.
Yeah,
and
because then the end would have
jumped.
meant more if we had seen them before.
The ending would have been, the ending honestly was shot beautifully. It was like framed beautifully. It was very beautiful ending, but there's no payoff because we're not connected to her character. We don't care about her
for
kids
the whole
that
film.
died.
Like,
We
she
don't
doesn't
care
move
about the whole
or grow
film
at all. Other than
at all.
I'm gonna do this one
She
thing for my
just-
friend because I already want to die. I'm like, that's not like
right.
that's
And
not
I really
enough
didn't
for me to
even
connect.
catch. Right. And I really didn't even catch that she was a mother.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like she didn't have like, she had like crazy auntie energy. Like, you know, she
Right.
didn't have like mother energy where like maybe she mothered her a little bit for me to be like, was she a mom back in the day? Like, did she watch her kids die? And on top of that too, I'm sorry, if I'm gonna be an immortal, I'm keeping up with all my family.
The fact that she like you don't have to like
stalking y'all.
Stalking, sure. You wouldn't want to like interfere. That's
You know what I mean?
the fact that she stepped away made
interfere.
sense, right?
Right, but I wouldn't lose. I would be with you every step of the way. I would know. I would try to finagle things that you.
If you were
could
being
control
bullied, you would
people.
have somebody coming along. And
You know what I
helping
mean?
out.
You
Yeah.
have like a little guardian angel. So you're
Yep.
telling me you wasn't the guardian angel of your family this whole time? Like
Well,
you got
can't
one that's
you,
in
like,
jail and stuff
eyeball
like this.
them to forget you anyway.
Yeah.
So why not visit for an afternoon? Eyeball them and
So why,
leave. You know?
or why not just be with them and be like, hey, be comfortable with me not aging.
Right. I'm a
Like, be
vampire,
comfortable.
and if you ever decide
I'm a
that, we can figure
vampire.
this out.
You know, whoop-de-whoop. But like, I was just, you know, you got these abilities and you don't really use them to like really benefit yourself.
Yeah,
So,
it was.
but
yeah.
or if they would have set it up to where like, because I really feel like there's so much in this film that like has some good qualities, but it's just like it just didn't land great. And I get that, but I still enjoyed it. But it's like it isn't, because I guess I see the potential in it. I can see like what it could have been.
Aina
Because like if they
said-
would have made it so, what'd she say?
She said
Where?
it's riffable, and that's very apt. Like you could do riff tracks with this very easily.
No, you really can.
Yeah.
Like you honestly can. Maybe we should have our own version of that.
Maybe could just put it on. You
I was
know,
just
and
saying.
if we change it
Let's
enough,
go.
it will not be copyright. So
I don't know. I feel like if they would have made it so maybe Alicia Silverstone's character was the stem, right?
yeah,
Take away the Sigourney Weaver.
How do they get Sigourney to make Stacy into a vampire anyway? How did they convince her of that?
To turn well, she said Goody said, because Goody is Alicia Silverstone's character and Stacy is Kristen Ritter's character.
Right.
I think Stacy said that like Goody told Sister to change her. Like she was gonna leave her dead, but like she was just like she lonely and she needs a friend. So Sister's turned her. Like she turned her so she could have somebody to be with.
And then so she could
when
have
she
another
wasn't with her.
mannequin to put clothes on, apparently.
Probably, or like honestly to have like a kid, because like she was so much older than her. It was like she had her own kid, but like honestly they could have went that route. They didn't go to that, but I would have liked, I think it would have been better if like they made Alicia Silverstone's character the stem, and so like, you know, maybe she's been like selfish her entire life, like once becoming a vampire, and like she would turn people and it wouldn't work out, she'll kill them, and then finally she was with Stacy and Stacy reminded her of the family she lost and the kids that she lost, and then when Stacy did get pregnant, maybe she was like, maybe it's time for me to end my life so she can turn back into a human and I can sacrifice that for her instead of y'all just ganging up on Cicerus and killing her to get this.
Yeah,
so
and that
she
whole
would-
like Army
I
of
know,
Darkness
I just-
skeleton thing, I was like, what are you guys doing? This is
Yeah, I
too
was
much.
like, but also I thought it was funny that she came out with the body, because it was like it makes sense. All her head needed was like a body, because if she got if her body got the head back, because her head got chopped off, y'all. If her head got the body back, like she can go back and function. But I thought it was funny when they did it again, like, you know, like she, you know, fell apart again, and then they took the bones in the head and put it right back in the tomb. Was she dead? She didn't dissipate, like she didn't disappear. So when she just bring the body back together again, or was like the bones just dead, so like she couldn't do anything because the bones are out?
How
I was
does a
just like, all right,
vampire
y'all.
get pregnant?
mean, you can ask the Twilight question. How does a
No, I
vampire? mean,
didn't
she
like
still
it
has
in
all
that
the-
either.
Here's the
How
thing.
does a
Here's the thing.
dead
For
flesh,
me,
non-menstruating
because
device
she
create a
because
baby?
she
It just doesn't make
still
sense.
because she still like drinks blood in a way. This is how I see it. She still drinks blood in a way, so her body still functions, which is why the baby wouldn't survive. Like, I love that they said that. I love that they were like, you can get pregnant, but like in a week the baby just gonna miscarry, because like you can't, your body isn't viable enough for it. Like, you can like create it a little
But
bit,
how
but
are
you
her
can't.
eggs
It won't
not
sustain itself.
dead?
I mean, it depends on. I feel like she turned. Like, her body wasn't decomposed enough for her. I feel like for her eggs to have died.
I don't know, but they
And then she
see,
still
this is
was
what
like
makes us.
drinking.
They literally talk
she
about
was
how
still
they have
like
to like
drinking
put cream
blood.
on in order to like keep their dead flesh. They're cold to the touch. Like, she's literally dead,
Mhm.
but yet
I don't
she's
know.
got viable eggs. I don't know.
chalk it
I'm
up.
not.
I chalk
know.
it up to the blood, man.
I know.
I chalk it
I'm
up to the
supposed
blood,
to suspend
but-
my disbelief because it's a comedy, but it's like some
But I
things
love it
are
though. I
a
just thought it
bit
was
too far,
great.
bit too far.
And then she was just like, to keep the child, like, we gotta kill her so she. But that is like, that's lore that I've seen in vampire films
then
before. That like, if you kill the one that changes
Sure.
you,
Everybody dies. I've seen that before.
you revert back. You know, so I like that they kept that. a little
How's
bit.
the kid a vampire? And how are they okay with that?
I mean, it's the grandchild. The grandchild brings everybody together.
I guess that's weird.
Grandchildren brings everything together. I don't understand how the child is a vampire unless like she still has, like, even though it made her human, she still has the DNA within her. Like, she can pass it on to the next generation, I guess.
I guess it's like a mutant thing now.
I guess. Yeah. Next
Now we
generation.
know how the mutants were
Or
created.
maybe it's because she produced a baby when she was a vampire, and though her going back to human didn't make the baby
Less vampire.
have less vampire, have human. So
She's Blade. All right, it makes sense.
yeah, I mean that's essentially what it was. Blade became a full, like, half and half just by getting bit in the womb. So I mean, it's the reverse effect, I guess.
Yeah, that went over better for me. Why don't we rate this film and move on to A Wrinkle in Time? Because I think otherwise we're gonna beat a dead horse, or we're going to we're gonna stake this movie
That's
through
crazy.
the heart.
Okay,
Anyway, go ahead.
we're gonna have to revamp this show or something. I don't know.
Uh-oh. Tyler's got some
what's that?
competition.
Come on, Ty. I don't know. I will probably never watch this again, but I enjoyed myself heavily, so I'll give it a 7. I give it a 7.
Wow. So it's it's a rare 7. A 7 you'll never watch
It's
again.
a rare 7. A 7 I'll never watch again.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it the same rating I gave on Letterboxd. Nothing about this conversation has improved my thoughts about this film. So it's a 2. This is a 2.
Come on, 2.
And I gave it a 2 only because there's a good cast.
It's on the board.
And I did chuckle like 2 times.
Come on, 2 chuckles for 2.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So there it is.
2 chuckles and a good cast.
There are movies I've rated worse, but I would say even the movies I've rated a 1 have a better production value, have better scripts.
Mm-hmm.
I
I will
gave it
say
a
for
2
2012, the production value on this was very rudimentary.
It was.
Very rudimentary.
It felt like a sitcom.
It was just like, My thing was, instead of all these names, maybe you could have took the names out, kept some money, put it towards the budget. Like I was just,
right?
Just a little thought. That's all.
They had to give like at least $1 million to each of these names. That's a huge chunk of change. So
man,
too much. All right, let's move on to A Wrinkle in Time. It is interesting because
Wrinkle in Time.
These films are both very, very panned by almost everyone.
Yeah.
Critics and audiences alike agree on these films.
Yeah, and I'm happy I picked them. Yes.
So A Wrinkle in Time is, of course, based upon the Disney's A Wrinkle in Time is based upon the classic novel A Wrinkle in Time, which I've never read, so I don't know anything about it. Have you read it, La?
No, sir.
Okay, so we've got 2 people who have never read the book reviewing the movie about the adaptation. All right, this is the way to go. So, you went first. I'll go first on this one, I guess.
Yes, sir. Please do.
Seeing this cast threw me a little bit. One, Oprah never acts anymore, so seeing her come out of the woodwork to do a movie was really interesting because it's like 2018. This isn't even that long ago. And Reese, it's interesting seeing Mindy. I was like, okay, I knew her popularity was really kind of spiking at this time, so seeing her in it made perfect sense. I just seeing the three of them together, I was like, this is a really odd pairing of these three actors. You've got one very serious actor, one half serious, half funny, and one funny. And so I was like, it's weird. The one character that stood out to me was Oprah's character. I did like Mrs. Witch, I think was what her name was. I didn't love this movie because I found it really honestly to be really slow and boring. Like there was very little about it that kept me wanting to watch it. I kept going, okay, I'll keep slogging along. Can I turn it to 2 times speed? No, couldn't figure out how to do that. So I had to just keep slugging along. It's weird because it's a father-daughter story, so I thought it would hit me. But I think the main protagonist spends so long in the film coming to the realization that she needs to actually change her mindset that by the time she does, I don't care. Like she literally spends 95% of the film going, I don't know, and she's like wishy-washy about everything. And then finally, when it doesn't matter to me anymore, she's like, I give in. I'm like, okay, sure. Now, it is a Disney movie. It's a Disney family movie. It's a PG movie. It's an adaptation of a book, which I think they stuck to the book and didn't like write a script to be a movie script because this doesn't feel like a movie script. It feels like a film adaptation. So I don't know. That's my initial thought. Lara, what do you think of A Wrinkle in Time?
I'll mimic some of your thoughts, I'll say, but I enjoy the fantastical nature of it. I did enjoy just how everything looked, like how the things looked, how the ripples looked, how like or the wrinkles you can say, because that was the whole thing. Like, and I will say this: I've heard Tesseract too many times in my life.
You know, it's a real thing, right?
No, I do know it's a real thing, but I've heard it too many times in my life. Like, okay.
Marvel has co-opted it. Now when you hear something else, you're like, you guys are stealing from Marvel.
No, I don't even feel that way. I just felt like I don't even feel like it that way because I know that they didn't create it, but it just feels like everybody's been using that as a draw or something like that, or like let's create something around space and time and Tesseract. Like it just feels, I don't know.
No, you're right.
But every time I hear
Tesseract,
it, I was just kind of like, but I do like that this film was like tessering. You know, like it's the, you know, I like that they kind of changed the lore about it a little bit, kind of like added to it, made it a little more whimsical, more fun. I don't know what that word, like what that tone was, but fun. I enjoyed the misses. I'm not a huge Mindy Kaling fan. I don't think she's the greatest actress, but I don't think she's nowhere near the worst that I've ever seen in my life.
She plays a great disgust.
No, voice acting. Totes. Some people are just better voice actors for me than they are just being like character actors.
There's only 2 of us. We could literally respond to our chat. No worries that you're late. Glad to have you here. Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm paused or something. I don't know. I don't see the chat. The chat's not working for me.
Taylor showed
if there are people. Hey, Kyle.
Only went to see this to support Ava, honestly. Makes sense.
And I respect that. What's that? I feel like Oprah, for me, I'm not a huge fan of her acting. Because to me, it's just her saying words whenever she acts, unless it's
she's just talking like she's on
unless
stage.
It was, that's what it feels like. Unless it's The Color Purple, then she played that role in The Color Purple. But anything after that, for me, it just feels like she just talks. She just being her, like Oprah with makeup, with extra makeup on, or a different wig on, or something like that. Like, I'm not a huge fan. I think I would have loved it if like maybe Angela Bassett played that role. I feel like she could have played that like to perfection.
See, that's how I feel about Reese. Reese wasn't funny in this movie. Anybody could have played that character better than Reese.
You know. And to me, you're picking people for a draw. I feel like for a film like this, you could have had brand new actors who had brand new energy, that had brand new, that like needed this. So like they would put a lot of life and stakes into this. But I mean, I enjoyed like the storyline. I enjoyed what they like the light and dark of it all. But I do agree that it felt slow at times. It felt like it didn't know what it wanted to do, especially with the lead actor. I felt like everybody got more shine than her, really, and it was her movie. Like, I was like, what are we doing? I understand and I'll tell you this, I'm saying all of this and I cried at this movie because it is a father-daughter film, and I lost my dad, years ago, but it's still it still resonates in different ways when when it comes up a film and things like that. So I will say the acting is great. I will say when Storm and Chris Pine reunited, that scene was great. It felt like she hadn't seen him in 4 years.
Yeah, no, they both did well in that scene. I'll give you that.
You can feel like the grief, like the relief, her pain kind of like washes away. But also I don't like the fact that when he did come back, they kind of tried to make him a villain. Like, you didn't have to make him a villain for her to learn to stand up on her own 2 feet, because it was like he was trying to tesser them home. And she's like, I won't leave my brother. And he's like, I can't lose both of my kids. So like he said, I'm going to come back for him. Like, and I get it. This was her kind of like standing up for herself to kind of like,
well, she needed that energy to stay. Just like she re-guided them to that place.
But when he came back, when they both came back home, it was like he was the villain now, because he didn't stay and like kind of gamble his 2 kids.
I didn't get that sense, but I hear what you're saying. I didn't get that sense though.
I kind of got that. Like at the end, it was like just her face when she was like, you went from crying that he was going to kind of being like, and he's like, hey, I'm sorry. Because he didn't choose to leave on his own volition. Like, it literally like just happened.
Right.
Like he was looking at his family. He loved his family. And it was just one of those things where I was just like, it felt like they were trying to make him a villain at the end. And I was just like, bro happened to come to this land with no way of knowing how to get back. And like, I don't know, the energy just felt off. It's like you went from being like teary-eyed to kind of being like, my dad's home. Like, I wouldn't have went nowhere with nobody. I would have stayed at home with my dad. Like, your whole life has been turned upside down because he's been gone for 4 years.
No, but now that he's back, she can be normal again.
I know, but like, that's not how grief works. Like, that's not how that works.
But they test her. They're so no. Here's how, because the whole idea, and this I hate this, but this is why. So the idea is you can't travel through time and space unless you can test her, and the only way you can test her is by using your mind, and the only trigger to that is love.
Yeah.
I hate that so much, but it probably
that
better in the
like
book.
A CW moment.
Yeah, it was very like,
a CW moment.
It was like great.
It was very like,
it was Dominic Toretto.
It's a kid thing. It's kids, and it's just like,
I know, and it's PG movie.
Families.
It's kids movie. I totally get it. I'm not the target audience for this film at all. I wasn't even the target audience.
For sure, I get that.
Had I been a kid, like, this wouldn't have been for me. Again, this is more fantasy, and I'm more sci-fi. They tried to make this sci-fi, but they turned science into fantasy, which is really interesting. So, hello, Aina. Welcome. So, what was I going to say? It totally slipped me. Huh? Some of those things go off into the ether, don't they? Let me just go a different direction, because this is going to throw me off trying to figure out what I was trying to think. When I saw Storm in the film, I kept thinking to myself, I know this girl. Where do I know her from? And just now I looked, and it's because she plays Idris Elba's daughter in The Suicide Squad. And she has such a memorable scene. Like, she's like one of the best scenes in the movie, in my opinion, or between him and her, and just their interaction. It's a great interaction. So seeing her in this, she was a little bit more flat. She was a little bit more just kind of jittery, and I don't know. I guess I felt like she could have brought more to this, and I feel like that's the direction that did that, not her.
No, I agree with that too. She felt like a very flat character. She felt like she had all the emotion and no emotion at the same time, and that's very difficult to portray in like one person, because like you could feel her grief, but then you could like okay, because like I had an upside. It was like moments where like before she went to that land with everybody, you could feel her grief, how sad she was. She was just kind of like moving through life. And then when she got to this world, she's like running and jumping and laughing. And it's like, oh, okay, being on this like adventure is kind of like bringing her out of it a little bit. But then once we got to a different location and moved her back in, and then it was like, and then she would come out a little bit. And I honestly feel like they didn't rely much on her smarts because
No,
she's
like
a
every
genius,
once in a
essentially.
while,
Like,
right?
you know, like even her brother, like her brother's a genius, but like so is she. But
Right.
they're not showing that she's a genius. Like they're not showing how smart and they have like spurts of moments like where she's really smart. Okay, now she's just sad and
Well, it's
depressed.
like
Oh yeah, she's really smart.
It's the
And
problem
she's
with
back
bad
sad and
scripts.
depressed.
They're literally like, okay, now we can use her smarts as a means to move the script forward. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but it should be a part of her character, not this like tool she brings out whenever it's the most convenient thing for the storyline.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of thing that makes me think that's much more of a novel thing rather than a
No,
script
for
thing.
sure, than like a script thing, but
'Cause
like
books have a different
I don't know,
format,
but like,
though.
and I get that they lose, but it's just like if you're going to adapt something, right? You can't, if you're going to adapt it, do it justice, and you can't take away core things from a character, but then expect us to still care about that character or still expect us to like want this character to succeed. Like the best character in the film is Charles Wallace. Charles Wallace is the best character in the entire film, and the film's not even about this young man. I mean, it kind of is though. It like he's connected, he's tethered to her in a way that it is about him as well. But the focus is more on, you know, Reed's character. But Charles Wallace was the best character in this whole film. Like anytime that boy was on screen and he was speaking, it was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. I thought he was great. He was charismatic. He was funny. He was a sweetheart. He seemed very high functioning in his intelligence and how he did things. When he was sitting at the bench and the parent, like they were talking like all this smack about them, his legs was crossed like a little grown man. And I was just like, I love this.
I love
kid.
when he stood up and he was like, "How dare you?" And he like called.
No,
them
I love
out.
that too, because usually kids like walk away or they like get sad, like, but he called them on that, and then she had enough nerve to say, like, you don't speak to your teachers that way. You went in on my family. You don't get a say in this no more.
Like you went after me
and
as well.
me.
Like, yeah, I have a right to defend
Called
myself.
me a genius, but I'm odd and all kind of stuff. And I didn't like that. Like I said this in the group message on Discord. I was like, the principal who talks to a child.
That. Yeah, you said that. That's why
I was so mad about that. Like, it's been 4 years. He's never coming back. I said, wait a second. Well, wait a minute. I was like, who speaks to a child like this? And then to me, where's the writing, where it kind of makes me want to read the first book to see what they did, because you're telling me that this guy has been gone for 4 years. I understand that the mom is grieving. The son and the daughter are grieving in their own way as well. But obviously this girl has changed for the worse. And you're telling me like nobody has tried to help her. You're telling me that nobody sees this girl bully her. Nobody saw the sign on her locker that says like 4 year, like 4-year anniversary. Like, I'm sad it wasn't you. Sorry it wasn't. Wish it was you, or whatever it said. Like, this girl is being like bullied to the point of like possibly suicide.
That's the
on
problem
top of
with
her
some
own
movies.
grief.
They don't know how to put that in there without it being.
And it's her
blatant.
fault.
And they're like, let's put this on the locker in front of thousands of children as they're walking through the halls. And I'm like, somebody's walking, the janitor, another teacher. They always act like there's no teachers around in the film.
Always walking the halls, and nobody saw that. And then the mom, you want me to apologize to a girl that's been like dogging me this entire time, that makes fun of the fact that my dad disappeared? Like, and like, I was just like, come on, y'all. I was just like, come on.
Yeah, no, that's too much. So the book was written in
I agree with that, Iena.
62.
I agree.
Based on the flashback, I don't think he was prepared to be a principal. Oh yeah, that's a good point. But see, this is the kind of thing. Like, I feel like that's a bigger thing in the book, right?
But I feel like it's more than being a principal. I feel like it was more about, that was a human moment, and he was a terrible human in that moment. Right. It wasn't so much about him being a principal, because also you want to talk to me and my parent not there, like. Nah, I feel like that's an interrogation room. I need my counsel. I need my counsel there with me. But it's just like, and then it's like her mom kind of being like, you gotta write a note of apology to that girl. And it's like, no, I won't be doing that. No, I won't be doing that. I don't care if I hit her in the face. She been hitting me for 4 years and nobody has said anything.
Did you get the impression that Miss What's-It was their actual neighbor?
Like across the street?
Yeah, like, or did it I don't know.
Like she just been living there.
Yeah, it didn't feel like that. It felt like she appeared.
No, I feel like she appeared. I feel like that house has always been there, but I also feel like she makes it what she wants it to be. I don't think she lives there.
I also don't like that they continually say Charles Wallace through the entire film, especially since Charles Wallace is a reporter.
Like his first is
right. There's a
his
real
first
guy
and last
named Charles
name, yeah.
Wallace, so I hear that name and I think of the actual journalist. And then, like, can you just say Charles or Wallace or something? Like saying it over and over again got aggravating. I was just like, you guys, this is ridiculous.
Just
Like you're trying to be
Charles
clever.
Wallace.
Like you're trying to be clever, but it's not working because his
Honestly,
name
for
isn't that
me-
special. It's not like a very cool
But for
or
me-
unique name, you know.
If they would have made it a point to say why he likes to be called Charles Wallace,
Which I'm sure the
or,
book does.
you know, he only says he only answers if you call him Charles Wallace or something like that, like then that would have made more sense. But I get that. That didn't really bother me. I just kind of like it's his name. Like that didn't really bother me.
So reading just the basics of the book, that first planet they go to is supposed to be inhabited by centaurs, not flowers. So that's kind of disappointing. But this is the kind of
Extremely.
stuff like I
It
can
could be some
tell. I've never
centaurs.
even read the book, and I can tell you they left
No,
out some
I can
great
tell
stuff.
that they left out some really good stuff, but also I just feel like they left out a lot of character development. Apparently, it's Charles Wallace's name is a compound of the names of his father and father-in-law. Okay, like the creator of the books, you know, and that's probably why they keep calling him Charles Wallace because like that's they saying both of those names. But I mean, for me, I don't know. I mean, I like the fantastical nature of this film. Again, this is another film where I was just like, I can see what they wanted to do. They just didn't achieve it as great as they could because I don't know. Like, I feel like stories like this, you have to give us a good foundation for us to care about the rest of it, right? Like, I don't care about Calvin because he just pops up out of nowhere. We see him at school with her once. He doesn't speak to her at all until she's on the street walking her dog or something like that. Like there's no interaction between them. I enjoyed the relationship between the brother and the sister more because you saw that from the beginning to the end essentially, and how their love made sense. Their love and care for each other made sense. Like, yeah, for her father made sense too because they gave us that you know, flashback in the beginning of them being together. You saw the dynamic of this family, so that gave something. But you got this random boy in here who obviously she nervous to be around, and he seems to like her, and she seems to like him. But there's no stakes there. You didn't build anything up for us.
No, they literally make Charles Wallace pick everything for us. They're like, he's like, we're going to do this now. We're going to do this, and I'm like,
we're going to do this. He's going to do this.
You're not even showing us anything.
You're
this
not
is a
explaining
book approach, not a movie approach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is, and you're not even explaining Charles Wallace good enough to us for us to understand like
how does he
his
know?
genius why is he this smart? Like how does he know these things? Why is he connected? How did he know that Mrs. like what's it was going to show up? And has he been talking to these people? I will say this though, when they did when they showed how Chris Pine's character disappeared, you see baby Wallace, Charles Wallace, like staring at him out the window. Like they at least made it so that the baby was aware that something was happening to him. So that was nice, but I also was just kind of like, I could have used more of this.
So had they done a better job, there's 5 books. Like that's the part that sucks about movies like this, that they don't plan ahead. They don't think, they still think, well, we just got to make sure we make enough money on this movie and then we'll be good. And it's like, if you had planned to know this would continue on, instead of changing things so dramatically that it's just this kind of
also feel like
this
wasn't marketed correctly. I just don't feel like this was marketed right.
Well,
I think they marketed it too much.
Yep,
I think marketing it too much with like the Oprah of it all kind of ruined this movie a little bit because there's a lot of people in the world that don't particularly care for her and won't go see her in the movie.
Yeah.
So
and that's that's on all sides too. That's not just like one group of people. Like she's
for sure,
all over the place
for sure. And so, but also she's also beloved too, but obviously not as beloved because people wouldn't want to go see these movies. Like they don't like. I just don't think acting is like the bag for her. Like you know, magazines and books and stuff like that. That's your bag. I don't think movies are a bag for that. I think this movie had a lot of potential, especially with it being like a fantasy film with a young Black female being the lead, and like that would have been great to like have a trilogy or quadrilogy or whatever of this young Black girl going on adventures, because we get this all the time with young white girls and young white boys, and we don't have like young Black kids to like go on an adventure and have a good time. And they kind of like, this would have been a great one, and they kind of mucked it up a little bit. They kind of mucked it
by basically doing what we've already talked about many times in most other shows, where why not put people that aren't famous as your leads? That way you can spend more time and money on developing the script and making sure that it's a much more stable.
Even if you wanted to just have like
story,
one famous person, I think Chris Pine was good enough.
I agree.
And then you duped us by removing him from the film quickly. Like you get everybody in.
Or don't show us Oprah's in it, and then we watch. Whoa, Oprah's in this.
Oprah's in it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Show us Reese. Show us Mindy. Right. So because seeing Reese and Mindy, they were kind of very still popular at the time.
Correctly.
Right. But they're showing Oprah, and you're like, she hasn't been in a movie since like 2001.
You feel me?
You know what I mean? Like,
show Charles Wallace and how like how amazing and charismatic he is, and how I don't know. I feel like if the trailer was edited differently, because I don't think this film got a lot of traction as it needed to, and I think it was just marketed so wrong. It was marketed with all those lies that they do, like gripping story, amazing visuals. It was like that, and nobody cared. So I just think that this film needed like the love. Well, the last movie that Oprah was in was The Butler, I believe.
Oh yeah, Lee Daniels.
I think that came out.
So that was like
in
2016
or something.
No,
was it 2008?
Yeah, it was
I don't know.
2008. It was definitely a ways back.
I never seen it, so
well, here I will. You've never seen Lee Daniels' The Butler? Okay, that's
no, because
it's not the greatest movie.
That just felt like slave adjacent. So I just kind of like.
You are not wrong. You are not wrong.
I kind of just like. Dipped out of it.
An underappreciated individual, but they now he's got a movie, so
So the last thing that she was in before A Wrinkle in Time was
The Butler.
The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks in 2017. The star in 2017. She still do stuff, y'all. We just a lot of us just don't be caring, but she do a lot of stuff.
No offense, Oprah. We're just, she was in Selma?
It's really, she was in Selma. I didn't even know that. I didn't watch Selma because to me, that was still very,
Well, that's King's, there's a big portion of it is King's life, and I think that's worth watching. But it is sad because you do get to go through the whole situation with the church and the 4 girls that get killed. Like, that's brutal. You're not wrong. And it's, it's a history that that you don't need to know if you don't want to.
I'm good. I know all about it.
I do think they are important films and films.
Oh, I'm not saying they're not important.
Yeah, I know you do.
I feel like they should. I feel like every white person in America should go see these films and educate themselves on the Black plight,
or even people who aren't Black. I mean, even if you're Asian, if you're Hispanic,
all races. Or any race that has a problem with the Black race, and that's including the Black race.
So maybe there are plenty of Black people that do need to see these films.
Yes, I agree. I feel like everybody should go check out these films, get some type of background knowledge, and at least to open up the door for you to go research it yourself and pull in those actual facts and information. But for me, I'm good. I just want to laugh and chuckle.
You can skip Beloved, which also stars Oprah Winfrey. That is a very weird movie.
Yeah, you definitely can skip Beloved.
Wait. She was on Fresh Prince?
Yeah, man. Where you been? Oprah been out here, man. But she played herself.
Yeah, she played Oprah.
She played herself. Yeah, she played herself. I remember that.
So her first movie was The Color Purple. Holy shit. Yeah. What happened? So she can act, and then she stopped after that? She just she could act and just didn't want to. She plays Oprah in Throw Mama from the Train. How did I not know that? Oh, okay.
Come on, Oprah.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about Oprah. I keep my reservations.
Listen, I don't know Oprah. I don't know Oprah as a person, so I have no feelings of her personally. Only feelings I have is what I see of her. And when she speaks and when she talks, I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of like the acting. If I want to go artist wise, I think she's a great host. I think she can get whatever she can get out of you.
Well, she's shown she's successful.
To write. No, for sure. I'm just waiting for somebody to write their tell-all because I'm pretty sure they're gonna have a lot to say about Oprah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like a lot of things aren't always on board as they supposed to be. But again, that ain't gonna do me. But acting wise, I'm just not a fan of her as an actor. I'm okay. I think she was great in The Color Purple, And I'm not saying she wasn't great in these other things that I probably have not seen her in.
I think that's her peak, and it was her first movie, so that's unfortunate.
Well, Color Purple?
Yeah.
Color Purple was great. Color Purple was amazing.
No,
people said she was really good in The Butler. She said people say she was really good in The Butler, like her scenes, stuff like that.
Okay. I think it wasn't like moving to me, but it was good. You know, I enjoyed it. It is a good movie, but I don't think it's a good movie because Oprah's in it. You know, if you know what I mean.
No, for sure.
So, all right. Well, at the real study, 100%. So really, unless there's anything else you want to say about this film, we can rate it. And then
I will say,
Michael Pena shows up out of
I love it. He was great. He looked like he should have been in the Hunger Games. Like they could have easily put him in the Hunger Games, the outfit and those mustaches that was with all.
He looked like he belonged in a Beatles movie to me in that. But
honestly, I can see that too. I love me some Michael Pena. I think he's great. And I guess David Oyelowo. Sorry, David Oyelowo. Sorry, I'm a little
the principal played.
I guess he played the it
as well.
He played like the it. No, he wasn't the principal.
Hold on.
No, he wasn't the principal. Andre Holland was the principal.
I don't even see him on the list. Wait, okay, there he is.
Yeah, Andre Holland. We gonna have to. I'm gonna do like a African American studies with you and be like, which African American actor is this? And which one is this?
There are many that I know. These are actors I don't know. I do this with all actors of all creeds, colors, nationalities. I know you're.
I'm gonna start with the black ones first, though.
No,
I'm giving you so much crap, but I love it. But I'm a good.
Let's
see. Be like, which one is which?
This guy has not played in as many things. I've seen a lot of stuff he's been in, but he's playing more like side.
Andre Holland? Yeah, I was seeing him in so much stuff, but he's not like an actor that's like a household name like some other actors.
He's more of a character actor, in a sense. And so he's like any other character actor. I never remember their names. He just sticks in the background, which is, we need actors in all places in order to fill out movies.
No, for sure. I will say, I think everybody should go check out A Wrinkle in Time. I think everybody should go check out Vamps for themselves. I know that we've talked about it and what we liked and what we didn't like, but I think everybody should go see these films. Like, go check them out. Like, you'll never know until you know. And then you never know. You might find a film that's so stupid that you enjoy it and you're like, I'm going to add this to my stupid film list, or you find something that's like, oh, that's a beautiful visual film I could watch again, maybe in the future or something like that. But I think everybody should go see it. Everything we talk about, y'all should go see.
I think everybody should go see A Wrinkle in Time. I think everybody should experience
Vamps. I think everybody should experience Vamps.
There's no reason to waste 132 minutes of your life. No reason.
I will say this, right? Technically, Vamps is only 96 minutes, but I will say this. I will say, A Wrinkle in Time for me. Yeah, A Wrinkle in Time for me was a fun film. Was it dry a little bit? It was a little dry because I don't think directorially, and this is no offense to Ava because she's directed more than I've directed in anything in my life, but I will say this, as direction wise, I don't think what was given to Storm Reed in particular was what was needed. Like, even in your sadness, there still has to be a little life behind your eyes for people to kind of like latch on to it. And they had her they didn't establish her as a shy person. So for her to be so shy and so quiet and so timid because like her dad wasn't there, I get it. But also her mom was there though, right? And there's not a lot of focus on the mother and what she brings, even though it was the mother's love that got her to be able to do bring her brother back from darkness and stuff like that, because they kept singing that song that she was singing to him, and that was like their through line and stuff. But I wanted a little bit more focus on the mom and what she contributed to the relationship, because it felt very dad centric. And the mom's been there, like the mom's been there, and I just want a little bit more of that. But I do think that the film has some really great moments, because like I said, when Storm Reed and Chris Pine reconnected, I cried buckets. when she called him daddy, I was just like, I was like, oh my God. Because it felt like a genuine moment between two people who haven't seen each other. And then when she couldn't spit out that it's been 4 years that he was gone, like she just couldn't spit it out because, but like I said, that ending felt like a tonal shift where they tried to make him the villain. And I'll stand on that hill.
I think they just kind of were
like it.
Everybody's home, and it kind of was pointless at that point.
Yeah, it was very like an anticlimactic ending, and I wouldn't be so mad at the ending, but I didn't want her to walk off with that boy. I wanted her to be with her daddy.
Yeah, that's fair.
I wanted y'all to go back to the house.
I want to,
you know what I'm saying? Which she kind of did. But still,
it was like a well-made Disney film, basically The Cell, but the Disney edition, and I think that's fantastic.
I mean, that's pretty apt. I'm not even gonna knock that.
It's a dark
Is
movie.
Taylor on Twitch?
Right now, yeah, he's on Twitch.
Okay, because I'm like, I don't see this right now, but you're on Twitch.
That's why
so
I can see both, so I try to read out the ones.
Yeah, I can't see both, so yeah, okay, I'm good.
It
is riffable though.
It is. They're both riffable films. They should have explored the mother's grief instead of Storm's character explaining it. I agree with that.
I agree. Because like maybe we could have seen Storm like peeking in on her mom crying or peeking in on her mom, looking at old pictures or something like that. Like there needed to be more, because her mom just seemed like an absent parent. Because obviously wherever they were when they were out there testing, it wasn't that long. But the father was gone for 4 years, but it wasn't that long for them. Like it was like the same day essentially. Mm-hmm. And the mom was like, "What you doing outside?" And I was like, "So how does that work?"
Bring the mom along anyway. Like I didn't understand that. I was like, "Bring the mom. Why not?"
I was like, it would have been, because here's the thing, it would have been so cool if the mom went, because this was her theory. Her and the husband work on this together. Right. These were her calculations.
Right. And then you could have had something happen to her, right, along the way.
Right.
They would have to go back and rescue her.
Reed's character kind of like stand up on her own. She didn't have to like turn her daddy into a villain. I'm still stuck on that. I see it. I see what they were doing. I didn't like it, but like it was some more ways they could have went. And on top of that too, obviously y'all didn't even go through the book itself. Like you didn't really go line by line from the book. You could have easily through the mother
made a few changes,
just made some changes because you already did.
Right, and you're supposed to. The idea of making a line for line remake of a film from a book or an adaptation even from a comic, while it's been done, and like with The Watchmen, it works, but even that's got some changes and people don't realize. But it's not ever going to really work because books do not flow the same way as scripts. Scripts have a very specific formula. They have a very specific way of being laid out. And if you miss a beat in a script, the audience can pick it out that fast. Like we are so
easily,
like,
especially if you're a person who read the book and then you want to go see the movie.
Right. Then you don't want it beat for beat because then you're just like you want to be surprised.
No,
right?
Some people want it beat for beat. Like I feel like that's
make your own movie.
With the Avatar. I feel like that's people's issues with the live action Avatar is that they want it shot for shot the animated version, and I was just like, there's no way that can be shot for shot because what you can do in animation you can't do in live action.
No, that's a good point.
How beats are played in animation, sometimes you can't hit those same beats live.
Imagine X-Men 97 as a live action X-Men movie. It would be terrible. It would be awful. It would be.
Haven't seen it yet.
You should watch it. It's pretty good.
I'm planning on.
I think that it's interesting because I don't think that people understand that when something new is made, it doesn't ruin the thing that exists. Just because Ghostbusters 2016 was made doesn't mean all of a sudden Venkman and Spangler suck and they don't exist and you can't go watch that movie. It's like you're watching that movie and all you can see is Kristen Wiig in your head.
Yeah.
It's like, what's wrong with you? Like, get it out of your head. Move on. Watch the movie.
I 100% agree with that. I 100% agree with that because like it's just some stuff just don't get translated well. The reason why people love the Harry Potter books so much is because they translated them very well, but they still left out.
They left out the entire
bunch of stuff.
The entire elf world
bunch of stuff
left out.
But what you did was you still kept the essence.
Right.
Of these books, you still kept
Hermione still
what
does
these
what
books
she does about them. She still like fights for them in the end. Books 7, does well with the last book.
So it's like so it's like with this one, you can see like when you're like, oh, this must have been a thing in the book they didn't really know how to do, so they just kind of like they just winged it, and this is what it
Right.
came out to be. You know what I mean? And that kind of sucks because, like I said, to have a fantasy novel turned into a live action starring a young black girl when Disney has already done this in 2003 as a made-for-TV film, and it was about white people. This would have been great to have like a, I don't know. This could have been something great, but again, I will say I feel like Disney for the most part is a company that rushes a lot, and when they don't really care for something, they kind of just push it out and just kind of go. And I kind of feel bad because one of the screenplay writers of this film is Jennifer Lee, and Jennifer Lee was also on Frozen 2. She's done some great things.
But at the same time, if the lead is a black girl, why are they not hiring black writers to write? This is something that Denzel brought up, the idea of culture.
Yeah.
Like there's culture missing. I wanted to ask this question because she dunks her hair in the lake to like clean it up. And it, is that something you would do?
If I had her type of hair, yes, I would.
That's why I'm asking, because I don't know. So
yes,
I have no hair, so I have to ask.
She has a more free-flowing curl that allows, like, when her hair gets wet, it'll just like it kind of just drops.
Okay.
As opposed to like poofing and turning into a fro. I have very poofable fro hair. Her hair because she's biracial. That's why, because when you biracial kids have a nice mixture of like coily hair, but it's also like malleable, like white hair is like malleable. It's like a very mixed. I'm with Aina. I was definitely jealous of that scene because my hair would have been looking crazy and we would have just had to make it work. Like, you know what I mean? Like my hair would be looking crazy. But yeah, she could easily just dunk her hair, wet it, put it into a bun. And she could have been, and she was fine. So yeah.
It looks like Jennifer Lee and Jeff Stockwell were the writers. And I don't know who Jeff Stockwell is. The Ottoman Lieutenant in The Bridge to Terabithia. You'd think somebody who wrote The Bridge to Terabithia would be able to bring some emotion to a Disney movie.
And you would think.
Because that movie tore me up. Like, that movie made me bawl, like, hard.
I still haven't seen that movie, and I own it.
That is a movie that will wreck your soul. Like,
Jennifer Lee is married to Alfred Molina.
What? I'm jealous of her now. Because apparently I want to be married to Alfred Molina, but that's not what I meant. Just to be around that dude all the time would be pretty awesome. I want to see what else she's known for. Wreck-It Ralph, okay, Zootopia. So she's the one I have to question about why there's no humans in that world. That's fine.
And what, Zootopia?
Yeah, I have a whole list of things I've written down in theories about.
Why would it be animals in Zootopia? It's called Zootopia.
No, there should be humans. There should be humans. Now the humans shouldn't be in Zootopia, but they should exist either outside of or pre.
Why?
You don't get any of Zootopia without there's too many human things for it to have been that way. It's just, it doesn't make any sense.
How? Like what?
This is a whole other show. Like I literally have
I love this. Why haven't we had this conversation? I love Disney and everything about it. So why haven't we had this conversation?
I have a very long list of why.
This is a world.
Like I love Zootopia. It's not to insult the movie.
Populated by animals. Why would there be humans?
Okay. Let me give you just one example, and we have to leave it at that because we're not going to go off at the deep end. But there's a moment when the deputy mayor is talking to Judy Hopps, and they make Judy makes a glue joke. She's like glue, right? When she's shaking her hand, and she's literally shaking a sheep's paw, and sheep's hooves, horse hooves, cow hooves, etc., are all have been used to make glue. So how is it that this human joke in a world where they're not killing off sheep and horses and stuff to make glue in Zootopia, but yet this human joke sits well within their realm? I think that humans existed either before Zootopia and they picked up a lot of these mannerisms from that through like some weird experiment that turned them humanoid, or this is a bubble and they're all living inside of it and we're watching from the outside and they have no idea that humans are outside their world.
I will say this. I don't negate your theory. I think it's a fun theory. I just don't agree with your theory.
Neither does my wife.
Because I feel like it's one of those like very meta things where like you're commenting on what the human that wrote this did. So that means that humans should be in a world where glue exists. But also it's like, I think that was just, I look at it as a joke.
It's the way the sheep laugh. She's like, ha, ha, ha. Like, that's not cool to joke like that. she makes this face like that's not a funny
No,
joke.
I
but
get it because it's like in her eyes it's still like, well, some
I
of
could
our
be
people
turned
were
into
created.
glue, right?
I
Then
could be
how
turned
could she
into glue
think
type of
that
thing.
if glue didn't
No,
exist from sheep before that?
I definitely get it, but also I feel like this is a world that is essentially human but with animals, which is why those jokes can be made. Also, if this is a world where like racism and all these things exist, I would expect that animal trafficking and making things like that exist as well. So if we're taking the human aspects of it, I don't see there being humans outside or they're in a bubble. I just see this as the world of humans translated as animals, right? Because they do a lot of things. Humans do a lot of things to each other. We traffic our own people. We cut them down and skin them. We got cannibals. We got
Right.
people that do all type of stuff.
Oh,
So it
God.
wouldn't surprise me if there were. It wouldn't surprise me if there were animals in Zootopia. Let's go dark.
Okay. That are
traffic
making
their
glue.
own animals.
So
that are
glue is an
making
illegal
glue.
black market.
Probably an
thing.
illegal substance or
Yeah,
something like
that makes
that.
sense.
I wouldn't put it past it. But that's
Synthetic
just how
glue
I
is
see
still
it.
a thing, but the like real glue
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
made from your mother.
Because
like,
maybe
kinda
that's
thing.
something that happens outside of Zootopia, because Zootopia is supposed to be like the Republic City of the place. Like it's supposed to be like the hub where we all come together in unity. But maybe outside of Zootopia and these other places where these other creatures come from, because we know that Jenny, but that she has to take a train to get there. She
Right.
lives
A
somewhere
long
outside
train
of.
too. It's not a short train.
So
right.
a long train, right?
She's a
So
country
who's to say
bumpkin.
that's the darker outer belly of not being in Zootopia, is these things happen in their
So
lives.
what we see at the beginning is really just like a front for what's really happening. They're not growing carrots.
Yeah.
They're cutting up sheep hooves. Okay,
Yeah.
I like that. I could deal
Cutting
with
up
that.
shit, just I'm just saying. I mean, and wherever else, because we just saw like the Bunnyville,
Right.
where do like all the tigers and the lions, and I know they show like the different areas, but those were
That's
still
in
within
Zootopia.
Zootopia.
They built that.
So,
That's
but
not
it's
the country.
right.
They live in.
So
Right.
it's stuff like outside.
There's got to
of
be a
there
jungle
that-
area we don't know about outside of Zootopia.
Yeah.
There's got to be a desert area outside.
Right,
of
outside
Zootopia.
of it has to be all of that outside of
Right.
Zootopia,
Otherwise, they wouldn't
where
be
maybe
there.
some more dangerous things do happen, like because those are like.
Well, I
the
mean, I guess we
cities in
did
your
see her deal
populations.
with the fox being an ass to her when she's a kid. So
Yeah,
but he's just a bully. I don't know. You mentioned cannibals, and I heard the weirdest thing on TikTok. Apparently, spam is the closest they can find to the flesh. So that's how they weed cannibals off of flesh, is with spam.
that's interesting. No, now I got to talk to the Lord about my father because he loves spam, man. So
There are a lot of people that like spam. It's a delicacy, not a delicacy, but it's like a staple in a lot of
yeah, it
different
is.
cultural foods.
I could never get with spam. My dad used to have spam all the time in the house. I could never get with spam.
So there's some great. I can't even talk.
Wait. I love how we've been talking today.
We can't talk. There are some great spam recipes from like Hawaii where you can take like a seaweed wrap and you do rice and you do pineapple and you do spam and teriyaki sauce, and it's like a sandwich. I would try that. So
I mean, listen, if I went to Hawaii, I would try it. So Ty, let me get a
yeah,
ticket.
why don't you fly us out? No, we're supposed to be. I would actually. I've been to Hawaii. I won't go back because I shouldn't. We shouldn't go to Hawaii. We should leave Hawaii for the Hawaiians, and we have.
I'm confused on like I've never I mean I need somebody to educate me because I never understood like. So does that mean we shouldn't go anywhere? Like we shouldn't go to California. We shouldn't go to like what makes different. Hawaii the place that people shouldn't go.
So
like,
it's a little different. So when you're talking about the natives that live in Hawaii, they're still very there. They're still very much a part of the government. They're very much part of the whole structure that's there. And a lot of the tourism that has come there is money that's taken from them and brought back to the States by the people that build resorts and shit there. The difference is, and I think, and this is just my uneducated bullshit, but the difference I think is that in California, because it's been American land so long and we've put everybody on reservations, which is awful in itself, and we should talk about that, that it's not really seen the same way because that's not where natives are. If you go to Redding, you're not going to find a lot of natives in Redding. You may find them over in the reservation area near Redding, but it's not generally going to be blended. In Hawaii, it's the entire set of islands that are still full of native people. So you're literally going to where they live and are trying to like tour and be tourists, which there's nothing wrong with that. But instead of going to the resorts, go and respect the culture, learn about the culture, do the thing where you go and spend all your money for the locals, right? Where you do all the, the local restaurants, the local hotels, and make sure that all the money that you're spending goes to the natives. And I think if everybody did that, I think there would be a different approach. But it's become this thing where it's giant corporations basically just making money off the islands and sending it back out. So that's what I think is the issue. And that's my best take on it.
Right, because like my thing is I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. Like I've always wanted to visit Hawaii. Like I've always wanted to go like
it's beautiful.
And right, I've never been in my life, and like now I'm like, so I can't go. Like I'm just like I need to like understand.
I would say,
about it, I guess.
especially being in Michigan, well, you could absolutely still go to Hawaii. Nobody's stopping you. Don't if that's a dream, try to do it. Well, like I just said, try to find a way to make it a responsible trip, right? And if you do, people will appreciate that. But the other option was you could go to the Caribbean, where there are plenty of countries who are inviting of American tourists and are saying, come spend your money here. And you'd still get that great tropical feel. Don't get me wrong. I'm assuming there's a difference between the two. I would assume the smell, the ocean, everything's going to feel a little different. But at least you could get that tropical, like islandy feel from the Bahamas or Virgin Islands or whatever. So just putting out there. The other joy, that's a good point, Taylor. You don't have you don't have to have a passport to go to Hawaii, and that's the harder part. You would have to have a passport to go to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
But that's not hard to
do. I mean, my goal this year is to get my passport because I need my passport. I do want to go, like I want to go to like to Cancun and things like this. I want to go because I've never been outside the country. So I want to do that before my life is done. I don't know when that's going to happen. A long time from now, hopefully, like once I go see stuff first. But yeah, I guess I'll read into it more because I know my mom did she did a cruise, and I guess the cruises take you right to the locals, I guess, or whatever. And you can shop and do things there, stuff like that. So maybe a cruise would be better than to be let me go to this resort that's not on the island, but is on the island, and I'm putting my money into that and not putting my money into the people that are living off the land and doing their thing. So okay. Thank you for the information though.
Of course.
I appreciate that.
One last thing, this is totally an aside thing, but it's about Vamps. Apparently it was filmed in Michigan.
Come on, another reason why I loved it. Come on.
I figured you'd like that because at the end of the credits, it was filmed in Michigan. I'm like, oh, that's cool. You don't see a lot of.
I didn't even see that. Once it ended, I was like, I love it, and I just.
I don't know. I think I left the credits on because I was doing something else, and then I happened to glance back. So yeah. Did we didn't rate Wrinkle?
No, we didn't rate. Wrinkle in Time.
Lord, go ahead, rate Wrinkle.
No. You go first. I went first the last time.
Oh, okay. This is not Vamps, so it deserves a better score. I'm going to give this a 5 because I'll probably never, ever watch it again. But if anybody ever asked, is there some fantastical, story that I should check out? I might tell people to check this out.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm going to rate this film a 6. I'll never watch it again. It gets a point because 1, Chris Pine, fine, baby. And then 2, because I love the reunion between father and daughter. That was just a scene that was just filmed very nicely, and the lighting on that was very nice. How he was in the orange and she, he was in the dark, but she was in the light, type of thing. He had to. He was really little
come to them, and come
right. He was very small.
Yeah,
right. And
I think our favorite scene in the movie. We both agree that's the best.
No, facts. Easily the best scene in the movie. And he comes, she brings him into the light, she brings him out of the darkness, visually. Right. And I think that's literally, and I think that was beautiful to see. So it gets a point for that.
Cool.
But I'll probably never watch this again. So it's a 6.
That's fair. So. Do pay attention for April. We are going to be having some more mainstream films, if you will, stuff that's exceptionally popular. We're going to see how that goes and see if other people are just well, I don't want to talk about your indie films, guys, which, we like movies across the board here. This is The Real Study. We're literally about film in general. We're going to get into older film as well, because we have definitely stayed away from that more than we should. All right. that said, did you have any other messages you wanted to throw out there?
Yes, I want everybody that's listening and watching to continue to help this channel become the best channel that it can be. Thank you for subbing. Thank you for following. Thank you for commenting and coming through, guys, coming on our Discord, doing all kind of things. Keep that momentum going. So if you want to join our Discord and follow us on all social media, The Real Study, REEL, share with your friends and your family, you know, things like that. I think people you think that will like us, like just don't share us because like share us on your pages and stuff, but like don't push us off on people that's gonna, you know, don't want to listen to us. But if you know some people that might enjoy,
If they subscribe and they don't want to listen, I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with that too. Like they can sub and just, you know, keep it pushing. I'm fine with that too. But like we would love the support. We would love the help. And don't forget to follow us on our social media. And if you want to become a real student, just join our Discord. You can talk to us on there. You can, you know, request your own film or TV show or something like that to be watched by us, and we'll review it and talk about it and give our thoughts and all that jazz. But thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Remind me to tell you about all that jazz at another time. You guys have a great night. This has been episode 20 of season 3 of The Real Study. You guys have a great evening, and we'll see you next week. Bye. All.